Hello, welcome to my channel. My channel is called Serenity and Strength, and it covers my widowhood journey as well as my wellness journey. If you haven't watched any of the earlier recordings, I would request that you do so that you just bring yourself up to speed on the storyline. My name is Joyce Onyango. I am going to cover the final preparations that we did before we were able to travel from Botswana to Kenya, which is home. In the previous recording, I also did talk about two specific issues, the issue of the burial date and the issue of the coffin. But I realized that I left out two issues relating to that. One, when it came to the burial date, we had already sent someone ahead to coordinate at home. And having a burial date, which was going to be like in a month's time, was also going to be a problem for that person because they were also working and would need to come back to Botswana to continue with their job. As it is, even with our change of the burial date to make it in about a week's time after the time of death, he still had to travel back ahead of us. Then, to do with the choice of the coffin, one of my considerations was the fact that we're going to travel quite a distance. We're going to travel about 3,500 kilometers. That is from Botswana to Kenya. A bit of it, or quite a bit of it, would actually be by air. It's about, I think, 2,900 kilometers or so. But the rest was going to be by road. So traveling such a long distance, you also needed to have a coffin which was quite sturdy. So that was one of my considerations. I would request that if you're watching, kindly subscribe. And as I said before, subscribing doesn't cost you anything. So subscribe to the channel so that each time there are new updates which I upload, new recordings, you're able to be notified of the same. Also, do share so that as many people as possible come along this journey with us, and comment and do like. The comments will help a lot, and I really look forward to getting some comments. It's very easy to get a checklist online which actually guides you on what you need to do. However, that checklist does not bring into consideration some of the very things that relate to you, your specific case. So in our case, we're actually far from home, and there's some considerations which would not normally be there. Apart from that, one very important consideration is that of really having people around you who can assist you, who can support you. And we were lucky enough to have a very good support system, and they put in place fundraising activities and helped us in so many ways. We also, of course, had our employers, my own employers and also my husband's employers, who actually came in. So we had to go through things like embalming because we're going to travel, and some of the other formalities, things like getting a death certificate. We also had to get a health clearance certificate. So those were done through the university, and also things like the death certificate. It was a bit easier for me because I was seconded to the Ministry of Labor and Home Affairs. Then when it came to things like the air tickets, which you required to travel to home, of course, with my husband's employer, it was repatriation, end of contract as it was. And it meant that for them, their responsibility only went as far as taking us home. So having to come back was actually borne by my employer, and they were good enough to that is, the university was good enough to contact my employer, and they did coordinate very well. I was very thankful for that. Apart from that, there were also the clothes for myself, the children, the deceased, that I took care of myself. But my friends or our friends were very good in that they actually decided to refund me for whatever I have spent on the clothes, which was very, very gracious of them. Then the other thing that we also had to do was get a church program that is to do with the eulogy and whatever we're going to use during the service. Here again, we're very fortunate in that we had a friend of my husband's who was working in the same faculty. He also prayed in the same church with us. And he had printing services which he normally provided. And he did this for us at no fee at all. And he prepared enough copies to be used in the church in Habaroni, in the churches that were, or in the places where we were able to pray at home, so that we did not have to make any additional copies as such. So whatever he made took us throughout the whole process. Apart from that, the other consideration was flowers, because we decided on artificial flowers, and the reason I did that with the artificial wreaths was really because of the fact that I knew that when you're traveling from outside, there are considerations such as the kind of clearances you'd have to get if you are transporting agricultural goods, which flowers would be considered. And apart from that, also, if we were to get the normal flowers, so they would have wilted. And it's always important to find out about such considerations. We had the funeral at the cathedral at Haboroni, which was very well attended, and our friends were very supportive. We had each of the children had a lady who was assigned to them, who was standing with them, who was with them throughout, comforting them. Anywhere they had to move, like viewing of the body and whatnot, they were with them. So it was very well organized, and really, really, it was very good of them. Joy, of course, who I had mentioned before, my friend, was with me throughout. Then we had an overnight stay of the body in the house. That again was well attended. After that, we took the body back to the mortuary the next day. Then I think it stayed another 2 days or so, because we only took it out the day before we traveled, and we did that so that we could take it to the South African border, because unfortunately at that point in time there were no planes that were big enough that came right to Gaborone, which would be able to carry the body. So we had to take the body up to transport it up to Joburg, but we went as far as the border. And then the person who was going to travel with the body, as well as somebody from the funeral home, traveled with it to Joburg, kept it in a morgue there, and then the next day they joined us on the flight when we were in transit. When we were going to the border, just the two older children were the ones who came. The younger ones didn't want to come because it meant waking up very early in the morning. And since they didn't want to come, I didn't want to force them per se. Because really, when it comes to such things, you go with the flow when it comes to children, what they are comfortable with. And it meant they were going to have to wake up very early in the morning. And at that point in time, I think it was July, and for South Africa around that time it's quite cold because that is the winter season. So I just let them stay at home, travel with the other children, the two of them, and also a whole convoy of friends went right up to the border. Then we let them cross, and then after they crossed is when now we went home. One of the things that I'll need to mention at this point in time, and it doesn't matter whether you are out of the country or you are at home, a lot of times when this kind of a thing happens, you have very many visitors who come in and out of the home. So it's a very, very busy time. And you'll find that where you have children, and particularly small children, you need to deliberately make time for them, whether you have visitors or not. That is, you need time to be able to talk with them. You need time to be able to have prayers together with them. You need time for any questions that they may have. And as I said in one of the earlier recordings, when it comes to grief, there is no timetable. Anytime you'll find that something will happen that can set off emotions or some kind of actions, and particularly from the small children. So it is very important that you are constantly there for them, you're constantly monitoring them, and you're constantly available for them. The goodness was that the schools had just closed, and they had a number of friends who lived nearby, and those friends kept on popping in and out, so that also kept them fairly busy. One of the things I also ensured was that on a daily basis, we did pray together with the children. We always prayed together. And I did mention that we were all sleeping in the same room. So that being able to sleep in the same room meant that at least we were close to each other, particularly at night. We were able to actually have comfort from being in close proximity to each other. And that, I think, made a lot of difference. So I think I will stop here, and then I will continue the next time. What I'm going to do is just have a small bit about water, which is to do with wellness. One of my things that I really had to change was my water drinking habits. So I will talk about the benefits of water. I was one person who never used to take water if I could avoid it. And if I had to take water, it would always be in the form of using it to dilute concentrated juice. My go-to drink was a very, very cold Coke. So I was told that I was taking insufficient quantities of water and I needed to up my intake quite substantially. It is recommended that you take 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, with the first 1 to 2 when you wake up in the morning so that toxins are flushed out. To easily monitor your water intake, set aside 2 liters of water daily and ensure that by the end of the day, the container that you've put it in is empty, and this is more important for the older people who may not even feel thirsty. Drinking water regularly helps to keep our organs functioning efficiently, from digestion to circulation, and that includes heart health and lubrication of joints. It also gives us mental and emotional benefits, improving focus and alertness, as well as less headaches and fatigue. To increase your intake of water and also get other benefits, you could try water infusions, and we'll talk about cinnamon and apple. Always wash your fruits thoroughly with clean water and a spoon of soda bicarbonate. We'll use 1 liter of warm water. We'll use cinnamon sticks, about 2 to 3, and also 4 to 6 slices of apple. You put the apple and the cinnamon sticks into the warm water and let it steep for about 2 hours or so. At the end of the 2 hours, you'll find yourself with a soothing drink, which you can take early in the morning or in the evening. And this drink will stabilize your blood sugar, it will support digestion, and also give you gut comfort. And this is on top of the other benefits that we've talked about. Put the drink into a container where you can easily pour into a glass or a drinking container, and when you put it into the drinking container, do strain it. Enjoy. Subscribe, share and like. Let me have your comments. Let me know how you found the infusion and what portions of cinnamon and apple worked for you. Kindly also look at the links so that you're able to get more benefits of water. Bye.